Well, hello, friends, and welcome to May the 4th be with you. For your viewing enjoyment, I have squeezed into my daughter's 9-year-old Leia costume. The Leia wig is far too small, supposed to be for a child. And this hood thing literally goes up to my waist, but you would never know because you can't see it. So for your viewing entertainment, I have, once again, I don't like to dress up, but for you guys, this is what I do. All right, we're going to continue with By the Great Hornspoon today. We're going to be doing chapter 8. We're in the second half of the book, which means we've just arrived in San Francisco. The Lady Wilma has won the race, and Praiseworthy and Jack are in desperate need of getting gold, and they are going to try their luck. It's not going to be easy. So that's kind of where we're headed today. And a couple announcements for this week. Social studies on Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be starting the Gold Rush chapter, which goes perfectly with By the Great Hornspoon. If you haven't already done so, you want to go to my Edleo page and print out the chapter 7, I think it is, chapter 7 chapter review packet. And I also will be scanning later the pages in the social studies book in case you do not have a social studies book at home so that you have access to the text. Also, this week on Tuesday and Thursday, when I meet with individual classes, we will be either starting or finishing our session with my favorite, Would You Rather? So some of you will get the opportunity to answer some hilarious Would You Rathers. Of course, we have to get our work done first, but might as well have a little bit of fun as well. All right, without further ado, I bring you chapter 8, which is called Saved by a Whisker. Oh my gosh, Cleo's already chewing the cords. Oh my gosh, how am I going to keep this child? Nope, no chewing cords, not allowed. Oh my, okay, cords have been hidden for now. She will find them. Okay, now for reals, chapter 8. Okay, chapter 8, Saved by a Whisker. In his pea jacket and stocking cap, Jack felt 14 years old at least, maybe even 15. He stood in the bow of the whaleboat and watched the long wharf come closer. They bumped against the boat stairs, and Jack was the first one out. His heart raced with excitement of the moment. They had arrived, and he was ready to start digging. Not so fast, Master Jack, said Praiseworthy. Don't forget your pick and shovel. And don't start digging up in the streets, laughed Mountain Jim. Folks might not really appreciate that. A hilltop telegraph had signaled the arrival of a sidewheeler, and now it seemed as if all of San Francisco had turned out. The wharf was alive with men, women, and children, not to mention dogs, mules, chickens, and seagulls flocked in the air like confetti. Weighted down with their belongings, Praiseworthy and Jack started along the wharf. There were barrels and boxes piled everywhere. Peddlers and hawkers and hotel runners mixed through the crowd and shouted at the newcomers. Welcome, boys. Welcome to the fastest growing city in the world. Flannel shirts for sale. Red flannel shirts, gents. They don't show the dirt. Try the Niantic Hotel, the cleanest beds in town. Hornspoons, you'll need 'em at the diggings, carved from genuine oxhorn. Stay at the Parker House, none better. The wharf seemed a mile long and the noisiest place on earth. Jack was dazzled by what he saw. Tattooed islanders and East India sailors, silent Chinese with pigtails dangling behind them like big, long black chains. There were Mexicans moving about to the jingle of their heavy silver spurs and Chileans in long serapes. There were mule skinners and businessmen. There were miners in jackboots and red flannel shirts with the mud of the digging still stuck in their beards. The city rang to the sound of hammers. Buildings were going up everywhere, and a sand dredger was pounding the air. Men stood in the doorways of the shops, ringing handbells. Auction, auction, auction going on. Fresh eggs just arrived from Panama. Step inside, gents. Chew roots and chewing tobacco. Onions at the auction. 50 bushels just came in from the Sandwich Islands. Also, Colomo pills, castor oil, and carpet tacks. Jack gazed about at the street of wonders. There was a smell of mutton from the chop houses and a sizzle of hot grease from the oyster shops. Suddenly, Mountain Jim stopped short. Billy be hanged, he said, lifting his nose in the air. Did you smell that? Praiseworthy nodded. It's strong enough to knock a man down. Makes your mouth kind of water, don't it? Not exactly, said Jack, trying not to breathe. It's bear meat, real California home cooking. good luck in the diggings, boys. I'm going to go follow my nose. Following up the scent like a bloodhound, Mountain Jim crossed the street and turned into a restaurant. Before long, Mr. Azariah Jones dropped away, unable to resist the lure of the auction shops another moment. Praiseworthy and Jack continued along the boardwalk, which was hammered together mostly out of barrel staves, and reached the United States Hotel. Captain Swain had recommended it. A fine room, if you please, Praiseworthy said to the hotel clerk, and I think a tub bath would be in order. Very good, sir, replied the clerk. He was a bald-headed man with thin strands of hair combed sideways from ear to ear. That'll be $10 each. Oh, that'll be $10 extra each. What's that? Praiseworthy scowled. We don't want to bathe in champagne. Water will do just fine, sir. Champagne be almost cheaper around here, gents. Water's $1 a bucket. Unless you want to wait until next November. Prices come down when it actually starts raining. Oh, we'll wait, said Praiseworthy with decision. In this part of the world, he thought a man had to strike it rich just to keep his neck clean. He signed the register, and Jack gazed at a bearded miner pacing back and forth across the lobby floor. He wore a floppy hat, and chestnut hair tumbled out on all sides like mattress stuffing coming loose. He kept glancing at the loud wall clock as if every advancing second might be his last. Jack couldn't take his eyes off the man. Tucked in his wide leather belt were a revolver, a hornspoon, and a soft buckskin bag. Gold dust, Jack thought to himself. He must have just got in from the mines. Ruination, the miner began to mutter. Ruination! Praiseworthy blotted the register. How, he asked the clerk, does one get into the mines? Riverboat leaves every afternoon at 4 o'clock from the Long Wharf. Fare to Sacramento City is $25. From there, you make your way to the diggings by stage, mule, or foot. Jack shot a glance at Praiseworthy. $25 each? Why, they didn't have that much money. But the butler didn't so much as raise an eyebrow. We'll be taking the boat tomorrow, he told the clerk. Ruination, said the miner. Come along, Master Jack, said Praiseworthy. The walls of their room were lined with blood-red calico, and there was china matting on the plank floor. The window looked out on the shipping in the bay, the mass as thick as pine forests. There was not only gold ships, but Navy frigates, and Chinese junks, and the going and coming of longboats. But Jack wasn't interested in the view. $50 just to get to Sacramento City, he said. We're going to have to walk. Good exercise, no doubt, but we haven't time for that. Praiseworthy gazed out at the distant hills across the bay. Sacramento City was more than 100 miles upriver, he had heard, and the diggings in the foothills beyond that. Well, let me see. It took us 5 months to get this far, and it'll take us another 5 months to get home. If we are to keep your Aunt Arabella from being sold out, we have exactly 2 months left. 2 months to fill our pockets with nuggets. Jack found himself pacing back and forth like the miner in the lobby below. Ruination, Jack said. We've come all this way now, and we're no closer. Nonsense, said Praiseworthy. There was a pitcher half filled with water on the chest, and he poured a small amount into the washpan. We'll be on tomorrow's riverboat, I promise you that. Now then, I suggest we wash up as best as we can, Master Jack. Wash, Jack thought. There wasn't time to wash. How will we pay the fare? Let me see. We have $38 left. That's a start, isn't it? Of course, we'll have our room and our meals to pay, but if I do detect one thing in the air, it's opportunity. The sooner you wash, Master Jack, the sooner we can tend to our financial dilemma. Your Aunt Arabella wouldn't allow you abroad on the streets with dirty ears and sea salt in your eyebrows, and don't forget the soap. Ruination, Jack muttered again. He might as well be home in Boston, he thought. They washed and changed into fresh clothes, and Praiseworthy gathered up their white linen shirts. They needed a good starching and ironing. Praiseworthy had noticed a laundry sign a few doors from the hotel. It wouldn't do, he told himself, to see Master Jack turn into a ragamuffin. No, indeed, Miss Arabella would never forgive me. When they returned to the lobby, the shaggy miner was still there, pacing and muttering in his dusty beard. He glanced at Jack, a dark, sudden glance, and then the butler and the boy went out onto the street. But as they ambled along the boardwalk, Jack began to realize that the miner was following them. Or actually, it seemed so for the moment. Praiseworthy turned into the laundry, a mere wooden framework tacked with canvas, and set the bundle of shirts on the counter. How soon may we have these back, sir? Asked the butler. Very fast service, answered the laundryman. His pigtail bobbed as he bowed up and down. How fast? 3 months, unless, of course, there's a typhoon. 3 months? Typhoon? The man was mad, Praiseworthy thought, or perhaps it was the entire city. Well, we fully intend to leave by 4 o'clock by riverboat tomorrow. Not possible, said the Chinese, bowing and slipping his hands into his flowing sleeves. We send laundry to China. It come back 3-4 months, all wash, starch, and iron. Unless there's a typhoon, take longer. No one do laundry here. Everything sky high. Cheaper to send to China. Praiseworthy picked up the bundle of shirts and gave Jack a look of modest defeat. Since we've managed without Bass, I dare say we can do without our starched shirts. Come along. They had hardly gone half a block when Jack saw the miner in the floppy hat once again behind them. The black pistol in his belt suddenly looked larger, but Jack said nothing. The miner could want nothing with them, nothing at all. He was still at their heels when the butler and the boy crossed the street. Now Jack was beginning to feel anxious, even actually a little scared. Finally, he looked up at Praiseworthy. Is he following us? Who's following us? Said the butler. That miner dude from the hotel. Oh, stuff and nonsense. The streets are free to everyone, but he's following us, Praiseworthy. Nothing to fear in broad daylight, Master Jack. They continued along the sandy plaza, still looking for opportunity, and the miner marched right behind them. Must be another madman, said Praiseworthy, turning. He stopped, and the miner stopped, and they stood to face him. Sir, said the butler, are you following us? Ruination. I sure am. I'll thank you to go your own way, sir. No offense, gent, said the miner. Been on the verge of breaking in on your conversation, but it didn't seem too courteous. It was hard to see his mouth for the fullness of his beard. They call me Quartz Jackson, and I just come in from the diggings. My fiancée's due on the stage any minute. She's coming up from the capital at Monterey. We ain't never met, but we write a lot of letters, and that's just it. And that's just what? Asked Praiseworthy. We're supposed to be getting married, but ruination. When she takes one look at me, she gonna think I'm part grizzly bear. He whipped off his floppy hat, and his dusty hair fell out on all sides. She'll get right back on the stage for Monterey, but shucks, I ain't such a bad-looking gent leastways. I wasn't when I went to the diggings. I'm just a mite growed over, you might say. Well, I've been tramping every street in town looking for a barber, and they all lit out for the mines. It don't seem to be anyone left here but the Cheap Johns. Cheap John, said Praiseworthy. Auctioneers. Anyway, that's why I couldn't help staring at the lad there. Me? Said Jack. Why, that yellow hair of yours looks fresh from the barber shop, all cut and trimmed, and I figure you must have flushed out a barber, and maybe you do Quartz Jackson a little favor of leading me to him. If Jack had feared the miner for a moment, he couldn't help smiling at him now. He actually liked the guy. No, sir, he said. I haven't been to a barber unless you mean Praiseworthy right here. Praiseworthy? At your service, said the butler. It's true, I've been cutting Master Jack's hair, but only out of necessity. The miner's face, what could be seen of it, broke into a sunny smile. Well, I'd be much obliged if you barber me up, Mr. Praiseworthy. Name your price. I'm not a barber, sir. I'm a butler. A what? I couldn't accept any money for merely... Well, now, that's mighty wide of you. Tell you what I'll do. I'll let you have all the hair that you cut off. Praiseworthy and Jack exchanged fresh glances. The man was some sort of lunatic after all. What earthly use did they have for the man's shorn locks? But it seemed wise to humor him, and Praiseworthy said, It'll be glad to help you in your hour of need, sir. Consider it a modest wedding present. 20 minutes later, the miner was seated on a nail keg in a corner of the hotel porch, and Praiseworthy was snipping away with his shears. Quartz Jackson insisted that every lock be caught as it fell. Jack was kept busy holding a washpan under Praiseworthy's busy scissors. It worried him that time was wasting, and they were yet to make their boat fare. But he knew it would have been impossible for Praiseworthy to turn his back on a gentleman in distress, even a peculiar miner like Mr. Quartz Jackson. My, ain't the town growed, though, said the miner. Must be all of 4,000 or 5,000 folks in this place. You gents figuring on going to the diggings? We do indeed, said Praiseworthy. Well, I come from Hangtown. The boys have been locating a good lot of color up there. Color? You know, the yeller stuff, gold. If you get up to Hangtown way, tell them you're a friend of Quartz Jackson. Tell them I'll be coming home with my bride in a couple of weeks. Sure is nice of you to shear me this way. Would you mind trimming the beard while you're at it? Always itching. I can hardly find my mouth to spit with. Jack? Young Jack? A bit of sideburn is getting away in the breeze. Wouldn't want you to lose any... Yes, sir, said Jack, catching the lock of hair. Quartz Jackson's face began to appear snip by snip, like a statue being chipped out of stone. When Praiseworthy had finished, the miner turned to look at himself in the hotel window pane, and he almost jumped out of his jack boots. By the great Hornspoon, is that me? Quartz Jackson was obviously very pleased. Why, I forgot I was so young. Coach Jackson was a fine-looking gent at that, Jack thought. He had good teeth and an easy smile, except for his revolver, his hornspoon, and his red flannel shirt. He hardly seemed the same man. But what did he expect them to do with the hair cut-ins? Stuff a mattress or something? Your fiancé will be very pleased, said Praiseworthy. Congratulations on your forthcoming marriage, sir. Much obliged, Praiseworthy. You saved me from certain ruination. The least I can do is learn you how to work a gold pan. Water, boy, you there, fetch us a bucket of dew over there. The miner paid for the water by taking a pinch of fine gold dust from his buckskin pouch. Jack was eager to get the hang of mining, and Coach Jackson, peculiar or not, was clearly an expert. Give me the washpan, Jack, young Jack. Jack handed over the tin pan, piled high with chestnut whiskers and trimmings. The miner wet them down with fresh water and began to swish the pan around and round. Gold's heavy, he explained, nothing heavier, even if the yellow dust sinks to the bottom. If you keep working the pan like this. Then he handed the washpan to Jack and taught him the motion. The water turned brown from the dirt and the mud that had gathered in Coach Jackson's whiskers and hair. Finally, he poured off everything but a thin residue at the bottom of the pan. Jack's eyes opened like blossoms. Gold dust! Why, look there, the miner roared with laughter. The boy's panned himself some color. I figured I'd scratched enough pay dirt into my beard to assay about $14 an ounce. Since I give you the whiskers and all, the gold is all yours. Jack had never known a more exciting moment in his entire life. The grains of dust sparkled like yellow fire, and there was even a flake or two. Half an hour later, while Coach Jackson was having a $10 tub bath, Praiseworthy and Jack were plucking opportunity from the air. They put up a sign that said, "Free haircuts, minors only." So once again, Praiseworthy has figured out a clever way. Give free haircuts, but you get to keep the hair, and hopefully there's lots more gold dust in there. Don't forget to do your chapter review questions, miner's log from the perspective or from Jack or Praiseworthy. I actually think it'd be funny to wonder what Praiseworthy was thinking in his head while he's giving this crazy guy a haircut. Plus, he's not even a barber. And yeah, tomorrow we're going to hopefully get on the boat and head our way to Sacramento City. We'll see what happens along the way. Tomorrow, like I said, I'll be Zooming with my class. We'll be doing social studies. So please bring your chapter review packet, your textbook, and a pencil. And again, we'll be doing Would You Rather at some point as well. And Thursday, I will see Miss Nogdave's class. In the meantime, I'll see you every day at 11. Be sure to log in. You can watch live or you can watch at your leisure at a time that works for you. And with that being said, have a great May the 4th be with you. May the Force be with you. Bye, guys.